Bear in mind that this is my personal ranking. This is not a prediction about who is going to win, nor is it even necessarily the quote-unquote best film. These are my personal opinions and personal rankings, and when we get to number one, you can see why maybe I have this disclaimer, because my personal favorite film of the year is, for whatever reason, one of the most hated films on the internet. Number 10 is American Fiction.
This book.
What really struck me was that too few books were about my people. Where are our stories? Where's our representation?
Would you give us the pleasure of reading an excerpt?
Yo, Sharonda, girl, you be pregnant again? If I is, Ray Ray is gonna be a real father this time around. Thank you.
This is a solid film, no real complaints. Comes from director Cord Jefferson, starring Jeffrey Wright, who puts forward a really strong performance. He is obviously a tremendous actor. It essentially follows Jeffrey Wright's character as a Black author who is more of an academic, whose writing does not get seen necessarily by mass audiences, and he doesn't necessarily identify as being a Black writer. He is simply a writer. The film really kicks off when he is removed from his position at a college as an instructor, and he's kind of sent back home to care for his elderly mother who is showing signs of dementia. Here he begins to have some existential crises, and the film essentially turns into a bit of a satire, a bit of a reflection on what it means to be a Black artist, the entire state of Hollywood and diversity, and whether these high-level white executives and producers really care about Black voices, or whether they are just trying to fill a quota or feel better about themselves. It is funny, it is sad and serious at times, although it doesn't ever really dive into the issues that it's exploring. It is an easy watch, though. It won the Audience Award at TIFF, and it does have an interesting take on Hollywood, on art, and on Black voices. Number 9 is Barbie.
Hey Barbie, can I come to your house tonight?
Sure. I don't have anything big planned, just a giant blowout party with all the Barbies and planned choreography and a bespoke song. You should stop by.
So cool.
Look, I really liked Barbie. Being number 9 on this list does not mean that it was a bad film. For the first quarter of the film, I was a bit terrified, thinking that we were just going to have this Barbification of a movie, but I quickly realized afterward that, of course, this was Greta Gerwig's intent, and the latter kind of 3/4, 2/3 of the film I really enjoyed. Again, it is a bit on the nose more often than not, but it still is an emotional ride. It still is hilarious. Ryan Gosling, obviously brilliant. Margot Robbie, obviously brilliant. The production design and costuming, extremely strong. The music will almost certainly take home Best Song for the Academy Awards. You've probably seen it already. It was a box office hit, but it's a solid movie. Number 8 is Killers of the Flower Moon.
You know, you got nice color skin. What color would you say that is?
My color.
Very different tonally from Barbie, although, believe it or not, shares the same cinematographer. Rodrigo Prieto worked on both Barbie and Flowers of Killers of the Flower Moon, very different visual languages, so it is a testament to his ability. This film from Martin Scorsese stars Leonardo DiCaprio alongside Lily Gladstone, or shall I say Lily Gladstone alongside Leonardo DiCaprio, both being nominated for lead actor and actress respectively. They both put on strong performances, but Lily Gladstone really is the heart of this film. The film doesn't have life without her. She is not grand or verbose in her performance, but it's the subtlety that really carries the film forward. Again, this is well shot, it's well orchestrated, it is a Scorsese project, of course. Thankfully, upon revisions of the draft, they decided to center the Osage people more solidly in the project, whereas the original film was focused more on this investigation behind the murders and disappearance of the Osage people, of course, based in real tragedies that have occurred. It is a very long film, so bear that in mind. It can be very heavy, particularly if you or people close to you have experienced or are close to Indigenous trauma. It does not hide that trauma, that violence, and that pain at all, but it is a very well crafted film. Number 7 is Anatomy of a Fall.
So, as you know, the autopsy report is inconclusive about the cause of death.
Stop. I did not kill him.
That's not the point.
This French film comes from director Justine Triet, and there's some controversy about why it was not France's selection for Best International Feature, that instead went to The Taste of Things. And we won't get into the politics here. It certainly was a political decision, but Anatomy of a Fall is, again, a wonderfully directed, wonderfully crafted film. It is really held together by a whirlwind of a performance from Sandra Hüller, who plays our protagonist, although we're not sure if we're rooting for her or not, after she essentially discovers that her husband has died after falling out of a second or third story of their own home, discovered by their deaf son. This movie weaves between different genres and settings. At times it's a courtroom procedural drama, other times it's a family drama or a thriller, and it combines those elements very well. This is a very, very strong screenplay from Triet and her husband. There are also some pretty interesting directorial decisions when it comes to visuals, when it comes to editing, and despite another long runtime here, I found myself engaged the entire film. Number 6 is Past Lives.
There's a word in Korean, inyeon. It means providence or fate.
Do you believe in that?
That's just something Koreans say to seduce someone.
This film from Celine Song is a lot slower, a lot quieter than some of the other movies that I've already mentioned, but boy does it suck you in. Essentially, it follows our protagonist, Greta Lee, as she tries to reconcile her feelings of young love for a boy that she fell in love with in Korea with her new American partner, and that kind of dual love signifies or represents her kind of dual identity and her struggle with that. It's based off Celine Song's own experiences as an immigrant, trying to assimilate into, in this case, her personal case, Canadian culture, while also holding on to that Korean side of her. Interestingly, it's not dissimilar to Greta Lee's story. She had to kind of relearn Korean for this film after essentially not using it for many years, and the coach that she worked with is actually Bong Joon-ho's translator, interestingly enough, the director of Parasite, and they worked to essentially craft a Korean accent that would be representative of someone who had lived in New York for the past couple decades, which her character did. So really, this is a love story, but it's also a story of identity, and it does not follow or hit every single traditional romantic beat or use every romantic trope that you would expect. And because of that, it really sets its own path and is almost a must watch. Number 5 is The Zone of Interest. This is a Holocaust film like you have never seen before. Jonathan Glazer does something here that is pretty amazing, and I've only seen it once, and I have a feeling that it could continue to rise in my rankings upon a rewatch or multiple rewatches. It's unique in a number of ways, but in particular, it's a Holocaust film that never directly shows us the pain and suffering. We are always removed behind a wall or in another room or across the street from the violence that is going on. Instead, we just sit in these calm settings, this home of an SS officer and his wife that they've crafted beautifully, full of laughter and joy and play, but yet on the other side of the fence we hear screams and we hear cries. There are some visual techniques that Glazer uses here that are really wholly unique, using some thermal imaging, for example, using some macro imaging into different kind of color palettes. It's tough to explain until you watch, but it shows us a side of this tragedy that maybe we haven't explored before, and without showing us the pain, it is somehow even more painful than most other Holocaust films that I've seen. Prepare to have a box of tissues beside you, but definitely give it a watch. Number 4 is Oppenheimer.
This is a national emergency.
Detonator charged.
Look, just like Barbie, we know about this one, we know about the Barbenheimer phenomenon. Christopher Nolan absolutely knocked it out of the park here, and it is going to take home a ton of Academy Awards, deservedly so. From a technical standpoint, there's essentially not a fault here. The sound, the effects, again, relying almost exclusively on on-camera practical effects, including the testing of the atomic bomb. Obviously not an atomic bomb, but they created their own version for this film. Some brilliant performances, Cillian Murphy with a very good shot to take home Best Actor. Emily Blunt had the best scene of the entire film, which was beyond powerful and really something that she needed because her character had intentionally been kept on the sidelines previous to that scene. Say what you want about Christopher Nolan, this man is precise, and this man is detailed, and from a technical perspective, like I said, this is undoubtedly the best film of the year. Number 3 is The Holdovers.
You just earned yourself a detention, sir.
Me with you is already one big detention.
Son of a...
The Holdovers, upon first watch, already jumped up into my top Christmas holiday films of all time. This movie from Alexander Payne is painful, but it's also joyous. It shows the relationship between teacher and student in a way that is somewhat similar to Dead Poets Society. There's some parallels to draw at an all-boys private school, certainly. Paul Giamatti, nominated for Best Actor here, obviously puts forward very strong performance alongside Dominic Sessa and the will-be winner of Best Supporting Actress in Davine Joy Randolph. Again, like I mentioned, this is about a relationship between a teacher and student starting not on the right foot, but growing to appreciate and understand and empathize with each other. It's relatively simple in its concept. We have students, the holdovers, being held over, not going back to see family for a variety of reasons over the holidays, and then ultimately being left with just Dominic Sessa's character. They end up going to Boston on this road trip, and they end up learning a lot about each other. Heartwarming, heartbreaking, great holiday film, great performances, and the vibe was immaculate. The visuals, the aesthetics were all just captivating and engrossing. Number 2 is Poor Things.
This is Bella. Bella, this is Mr. McCandles.
Hello, Bella.
I love me a Yorgos Lanthimos film. He obviously has become more and more recognized in recent years with this film and films like The Favorite, but he has been one of my personal favorite directors since Dogtooth. Emma Stone does something here that is incredible to map the journey of Bella Baxter, her character here, the progression, the changes. As an actress, I can only imagine how difficult that was. And beyond the performance, the production design is beautiful. It's a representation of Bella's fascination with the world, this kind of surrealist tinge to everything that we see. And not only is it beautiful, not only does it contain strong performances, also Mark Ruffalo, hilarious, so good, but it also has a lot to say. It is really a film about sexual liberation, about the dominance of men in society, but it doesn't hit you over the head with these themes. It allows you to kind of think for yourself and reflect on the world that we live in. Number 1 is Maestro.
Oh, she's so beautiful. Tell me about her.
Oh, she's wonderful. She's a lovely girl.
What age are we living in? One can be as free as one likes without guilt or confession. Please, I know exactly who you are.
If you listen to the intro, this is why I said this is my own personal list. I think this film is brilliant. Every year, the minion of self-proclaimed film experts on Twitter in particular, or X, choose a film that they decide is undeserving. I think what Bradley Cooper did here is being vastly underappreciated by the general audience. To me, this is a movie that explores the duality of man using Leonard Bernstein in a way that I haven't personally seen. It is less about the music, which maybe is why there has not been as much love as I would have expected. It's less about the music, it's less about Bernstein's career, and it's much more about what it means to be a human, what it means to have flaws, what it means to be gregarious and outgoing, but then also being broken and depressed. And Bradley Cooper's performance here alongside Carey Mulligan's amazing performance left me in tears, and I truly do believe that it deserves a rewatch for folks who maybe went in with certain expectations, expecting a more traditional biopic. I would implore you to watch this through the lens of duality, through the lens of one's kind of inner contradictions, and I think you can see a pretty brilliant movie through its aesthetics, through its performances, through its screenplay. It really just came together for me. All right, thanks for watching again. This is not a prediction video. I'll have a different one for that. This is just my personal ranking of the top 10 Best Picture nominees. Please like the video, do the subscribe thing, the comment thing, all those things, and feel free to watch the next one.